How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we got a story time of a spoiled kid who gets him and his parents basically like banned from the airport, bro. Like, it's actually so bad because he's acting too spoiled and entitled. It's a pretty ridiculous story that I know you guys will enjoy, so leave a like on the video right now, and if you leave a like on the video, you will actually receive your very own nothing. I know, fantastic deal. Subscribe to the channel with post notifications on if you are new, and with that being said, let's just jump right into it. Anyways, right, so we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story John. So John was in the airport with his parents. He woke up early in the morning, as I'm sure you guys can relate when you got that early morning flight or whatever. You got to wake up at like 4 in the morning. Your mom wakes you up. You're like, oh my God, where am I? But eventually, you're able to sleep in the backseat of the car. But it's early in the morning. It's an early morning flight. And so they're driving over to the airport because they're going on a trip to Florida. Oh, yeah. Anyways, so they get to the airport. John has his bag. His parents are going behind him. And they go to, they don't go to the airport. They go to this kind of like shuttle space. So basically, it's like a shuttle company that allows you to park your car, and then they shuttle you over. And then when you're back, you take their shuttle again, back to the car, parking space or whatever. And then, they charge you a fee for how many days you were parked there. Anyways, so on that bus, there was another kid and his parents who we're going to call Ben, which just got to clarify to all the new people subscribing recently to the channel. First of all, I want to say welcome. Glad you're here. Hope you enjoy your time. I got a lot of stories for you. A lot of stories. But also, a lot of them have been, a lot of you guys that are new, you guys don't realize that I just use Ben as the name for my secondary character every single time. It's not like one tyrannical kid who's actually like terrorizing the entire universe, bro. It's just I use that name for the secondary character all the time. Anyways, we're gonna call this kid Ben, and he was a spoiled rich kid. Anyways, right, so you could kind of already tell that, like, I'll give a little vibe of the dynamic that John was picking up on. Dad was already taking a work call. He was in some, like, nice pressed Armani type suit or whatever. The mom was, like, I don't know, like, I don't even know how to, like, stereotype her or whatever. And then there was this spoiled kid who was, like, on his iPad or whatever and was just like, Mom, I need to buy more Clash of Clans gems. Mom, give me the card now. Or just something along those lines. Like, it was really apparent what the dynamic was like in this family. And let me just say, it was not that great at all. Anyways, right, so they're sitting on the shuttle going over. And the subscriber, John, overhears a little conversation between Ben and his parents. So he overhears Ben being like, oh my God, Mom, I can't believe it. Like, I seriously can't believe it. And she's like, what, Ben? What? You could already tell that she was kind of bitter and upset about, like, probably just, like, life in general or whatever. And Ben is like, Mom, I can't believe that you and Dad would betray me like this. Like, I can't believe that the only thing that I have access, that I have the iPhone. Okay, I don't exactly know when this story came out, so let's just say that the iPhone 13 was like the newest phone. I don't know if this was a time when like that was like too new. Let's just say the iPhone 13 was the equivalent to the newest iPhone available at the time of the story. Basically, so the subscriber overhears Ben be like, I can't believe you guys would betray me. My iPhone only has 528 gigabytes of storage instead of 1 terabyte. Mom, how could you betray me like that? And the spoiled kid's mom is like, you don't even use like 100 megabytes. Sorry, not gigabytes, megabytes. I think gigabytes. She's like, you don't even use 100 gigabytes of your storage. Why are you complaining that you only have 500 and not a terabyte, bro? Like, you're not even getting close to using the 500. You literally have 400 gigabytes left. And it's not like you're going to download, I don't know, all of like, it's not like you're going to download 1,000 movies from here and like until you get a new phone. Like, come on now. And he's basically like, well, I just like the nicest things. And obviously 500 gigabytes is not the nicest when I could have had a terabyte. So at this point, right, John is listening to this conversation, kind of bewildered. Okay, John's not going to lie. It was pretty early in the morning. So for a little bit of the conversation, he was pretty convinced that he was just hallucinating because there's no way on planet Earth that any kid could simply be this spoiled and entitled. But turns out that, that might be the case, that a kid could actually be this spoiled and entitled. Anyways, though, so eventually they all reach the airport and they all get off at that time. And they all get off the bus and they're all handed their bags. And this is the next moment of the spoiled kid just being super spoiled. So Ben, the spoiled kid, is like, give me my bag now. And you can just tell, like, the person who's, like, doing the bus or whatever. Look, if you're driving the bus, like, maybe it's actually a decent wage, but, like, it's closer to minimum wage than Ben's parents, if you know what I mean. So you're definitely not doing that. Or maybe you're doing that job for the joy of it. But I'm going to say that if I had to make a bet, dude wasn't like loving every second of that job. So the fact that you have some like snot-nosed spoiled brat yelling at you, giving me my bag now. It's like, here's the thing. I bet if I was a bus driver, I would absolutely hate it if like someone was doing that to me, even if they were the ones who made their own money or whatever. Cause like at the end of the day, we're all human here, but it's somehow even worse when it's just a spoiled brat who hasn't deserved or just hasn't earned anything and has kind of like by random chance spawned into like such a high income like family. And all of a sudden he's acting as if he's king of the world, bro. Yeah. So, yeah, at that point, like the mom kind of like, Ben, be nice. Ben's like, okay, can I please have my bag right now? So he basically says the same thing, but like slips a please in there. And you can just tell that the person running the bus kind of like is biting their tongue because they don't want to get fired or whatever. So they go in, they grab the bag, and they give it to Ben. Anyways, when John gets his bag, he makes it very apparent that he's like, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a good day. Like, he tries to cancel out the spoiled kid spoiledness by being extra nice to the guy. I don't know if it actually canceled out, but hey, man, at least John's trying here. You know what I mean? At least he's putting in, he gets an A for effort. Anyways, right, so sure enough, they get off and they walk into where the airport location is. And I don't know if you guys have been in an airport before, but basically you have to go through the TSA security point or whatever. And to go through the TSA security point, so there is something called pre-check in which you don't have to do as much, but mostly like it's a really long, okay, kind of depends when. Like obviously if there's no one in the airport, it's not going to be a super long line. But this was a situation where it was a pretty long line. Like not going to lie, it was a pretty long line. And it went on and on and on. So, yeah, sure enough, Ben was right in front of the subscriber. So the subscriber, John, got the privilege of hearing Ben whine for 3,000 hours about basically everything. So anyways, they get in the back of the line, and immediately Ben's like, Mom, can't we pay money to be in front of the pores? And at this point, John is like, hey, yo, what did you just say? And he like looks at his parents, and his dad and his mom are both giving him side eyes of like, hey, we heard that too, bro. You're not going crazy, by the way. Because this was another situation where John was like, all right, well, I have been asleep for a while now, so I'm not going to rule out the possibility that I'm just, losing my mind. Because it might be actually easier to explain the spoiled kid and his actions as being some kind of delusion of not getting enough sleep than actually trying to explain his actions as, oh yeah, this is a normal, rational, sentient individual. It's actually easier to explain the spoiled kids as if you have you went on some crazy DMT trip. Like that would genuinely make more sense than being like, oh yeah, no, this is how someone actually acts in the real world. Anyways, though, so yeah, the subscriber, John, is able to hear Ben's ramblings about how he doesn't like being in the presence of all of the quote-unquote pores and smelly pores. Yeah, what a ridiculous statement, bro. The fact that he actually has the audacity to say things like this out loud is genuinely kind of concerning. One, just because it's concerning that his parents aren't immediately, like, backhand slapping the blank out of him right now for saying that. But also, too, for his own safety, man, look, here's the thing. John and his family aren't violent individuals. They've gotten enough sleep, kind of. They're not on their last straw, you know. But you say that around the wrong person, bro, especially someone who maybe is just, has already had it. It's already had a long, bad day. John's day, honestly, hasn't been long enough for it to even be considered a long, bad day yet. But if you say that in front of someone who actually has had a long, bad day, dude, there's a non-zero chance that you're going to get a fist to the back of your head, brother. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just got to be careful with that. Yeah, so anyways, it just, the line, it is not moving, which, I mean, if you guys have gone through TSA before, they're definitely not known for being speedy. Yeah, definitely not known for being speedy, organized, and efficient, which kind of isn't their fault. It's kind of the whole organization slash system is too complicated, too many moving parts, whatever, right? So I'm not blaming it on the individual TSA workers, but I think we can all agree that it is not fast nor efficient. Anyways, right, so sure enough, they're still in line, and it's getting kind of annoying at this point. Like, it's even getting kind of annoying for John and his family, because it is honestly just taking a really long time. But anyways, right, the spoiled kid is, he's about to do something super stupid that ends up getting him and his parents completely kicked out of the airport and probably put on a no-fly list or something crazy like that. Yeah, so the spoiled kid, Ben, he simply can't just understand the fact that, like, since he's not better than other people and he's just as good as everyone else, that he doesn't get some kind of special privileges and therefore just has to wait in line with everyone else. And guys, I know that TSA PreCheck does exist. I guess, like, it wasn't offered there or none of them had it, or I don't even know, man. But anyways, the spoiled kid, Ben, is like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to the airport now, or I'm going to the airplane now. And you see, like, Ben, like, start running down the line. So Ben is literally, like, weaving through the lines, running through the lines. And so John, like, nudges his parents, and he's like, and they're all like, oh my God. And they're watching as Ben is sprinting towards like the TSA check line, like the TSA set, like, you know how you have to go through in an airplane, like you have to take all your clothes. Okay, you do not have to take all your clothes off, dude. Sign me up for like airport TSA if you'd have to take all your clothes off, man. I'm gonna be one of those inspector dudes. Nah, I'm just playing around, guys. But no. You know, you have to take your shoes off. You put your bag there. You have to take your watch off. Take your computer out of the bag. Whatever. You have to do all that kind of stuff. So he's approaching that station, and like you have to like go through a what's it called? Like one of those like metal detectors and the scanners or whatever. So he's like running towards that spot, and like John turns to his parents and he's like, he's gonna stop, right? Because at first John is thinking like, oh, he's just cutting the line so that he can get in there faster. But then he starts to realize that this kid's low-key crazy, bro. Like, this spoiled kid is low-key a psycho spoiled kid who has no idea that the real world actually has consequences. And he starts approaching faster and faster, and all of a sudden, John, his parents, as well as the spoiled kid's parents, are starting to realize that the spoiled kid is going to attempt to run through TSA security. So at that point, you hear the spoiled kid's parents being like, Ben, get back here this instant. If you don't get back here right now, you're grounded. Because they're starting to get a little bit scared because they realize that Ben is actually about to do something insane and try and run through the TSA line. Dude, I've never heard of anyone who's trying to run through the TSA line because they don't want to be around the quote-unquote poor people anymore. I've never heard of someone who just gets so bored of the line that they decide that they're going to commit basically a federal crime and get probably banned from flying ever again just because they're bored in line. Anyways, so, yeah, it's about to get crazy. Real quick, I'd like you to comment plane down below. Like, when you go to an airport, you get in a plane. So comment plane in the comments down below so I can see how many people, or really see which people made it as far into the videos. I really appreciate you guys. If you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure you rate the podcast 5 stars and also answer the poll question / Q&A thing that pops up. And also, finally, make sure you are subscribed on YouTube with those notifications on so you never miss a story. Yeah, so anyways, sure enough, Ben is running towards TSA, cutting all the people. And the thing is, people aren't, like, complaining or yelling because it's, like, some kid running at them or whatever. If it was, like, some grown adult, like, cutting all of them, then whatever. But also, like, some people might be thinking, oh, it's just some kid trying to catch up with his parents or whatever. Like, they're not going to make a big scene about some kid doing this. However, Ben starts approaching more and more rapidly the actual, like, TSA place or whatever. And John, his parents, and Ben's parents, they all watch as he as he rapidly approaches, like, the TSA PreCheck line. And you could hear one of the TSA officers being like, hey, buddy, like, slow down. We're going to need you to slow down or whatever. And he literally ignores all of them, runs through the machine. So he's already like committed the federal offense or whatever. You hear it, meh, 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 because he's like set off all the detectors or whatever. And you literally see like two officers or two TSA guards, whatever. Like they go and stop him. They don't like drop kick him or like take a shotgun and blow him to bits or anything, but they do stop him, right? And they have to like stop the whole line for a second. And like all of a sudden, like it's like you can see Ben's parents, like Ben's dad is like just started to check in and like see what's happening. He's like, oh my God, like no way our idiot son just did that. And like the mom's like, oh my God, there's no way he just did that to us. Like our vacation is ruined, which like it's kind of funny. I mean, it's not funny, it's sad. Like, let's be real. It's sad, but it's just interesting. It's sad and interesting that the mom's first response to her son basically being like, not captured by TSA, but like stopped by TSA was that, oh no, our Florida vacation is ruined. Not like, oh my God, is my son okay? Oh, maybe it's time to reflect on my own parenting because, you know, at the end of the day, like, it's my fault that my son is here in this position. Like, let's be real about it. Yeah, so anyways, right, eventually, like, the TSA officer, whatever, gets on the loudspeaker and says, like, who are the guardians of this kid or whatever. So immediately Ben's parents, like, raise their hands and start walking up there. And a guard, like, meets them, so Ben is, like, escorted back out to the normal section. And slowly but surely, like, the normal TSA process is allowed to resume. So John and his parents are slowly walking towards the TSA section again in the line. But that also means that Ben and his parents are pulled aside, which means that eventually John and his parents will be like right next to them, bro. Like it's going to be real awkward. So anyways, right, they get closer and closer and they're overhearing. John overhears like the TSA people be like, I understand that your son is under 18, but this is actually unacceptable to, like, you know how, like, serious of an offense this is. Like, we simply cannot let you go through. And the dad's like, well, we have first-class tickets that are leaving in an hour and a half. Like, if you just let us, it's not that deep, man. Like, just let us go through. Really not trying to miss the Florida vacation. And they're looking at him, like, trying to really convey the fact that, no, they're turning them around and they're not letting them in. In fact, they're probably lucky if they don't get on a no-flight risk or like a no-fly list or something like that. Like, that's actually an insane thing, right? So, like, the dad's getting more and more upset. And I think the mom is, like, trying to calm him down because I think she kind of understands how, like, the gravity of the situation that they're in. I think she understands the fact that, like, oh, no, honey, like, we're screwed. And, like, we got to leave now before we get more screwed. Because at this point, if they're turned away now, they don't have to collect any information or anything like that. And honestly, like, probably the TSA people are not doing their job by not collecting the information here. But anyways, she whispers something to the husband, and the husband, like, for a second is still like, but then he very quickly calms down. It's like, all right, fine. And he's like, all right, Ben, we're turning around, bud. And Ben's like, what? Are we not going to Florida or something? And they're looking at him like, dude, have you not been paying attention at all? Yes, we are not going to Florida because of you, buddy, because of you. Anyways. So Ben is starting to be like, no, Dad, like, we got to go to Florida. Like, the plane is literally right in there. And, like, Ben's dad's like, yeah, dude, trust me, I wish I was going to Florida, but because of someone looks at him, we're not going to Florida. And Ben's like, no, it's like, no, we're still going to Florida, right, guys? Looks at, like, the TSA people, then looks at his parents, and looks at the TSA people, then looks at his parents. And at this point, like, John and his family are right next to them in line because the line has been progressing. He's like, no, like, this is outrageous. Dad, like, can you, like, sue them or something? His dad's like, son, we're going. Because at this point, I think the dad realizes that if they get too involved, I think the TSA people might be able to be like, all right, you know what? We're actually are going to take your information. That's actually a pretty good idea. I think we will be getting some information on you guys, actually. You know what? Great call. Great call. Yeah, so anyways, eventually Ben's parents are able to get a hold of him, and they were basically escorted out of the airport terminal. So yeah, eventually John and his parents, they go through the TSA line, and they eventually get to the other side, and they have about an hour before their flight. So they sit down, they find a nice comfy spot or whatever, and almost immediately John is like, guys, like, we need to talk about what we just saw.